On this show, you'll find inspiration, motivation, and advice from experts, as well as valuable tips on how to get started or improve your business. Let's dive into how you can begin and grow your wisdom business. Inspiring others looks different for everyone. How will you inspire? Welcome to the Wisdom Podcast, and today we're chatting with Jules Brooke. Jules is a speaker, a SaaS platform creator, a membership founder and coach, and an inspirational, uplifting ball of energy that I can certainly vouch for.
Oh, my God.
With her long list of achievements, Jules makes all her efforts seem effortless with her energy and passion to help women in business be more visible in media. Jules is the founder of the amazing SaaS, which is a software as a service platform, which includes courses and coaching called Handle Your Own PR, along with She's the Boss Network. She's the Boss is an amazing network of women and mature businesses who get together with no agenda other than to support each other and make change happen. Jules was fed up with the lack of visibility of female founders and CEOs in the media. So Handle Your Own PR and She's the Boss was born. Her network and membership also provides role models for young women to encourage them to start their own business. And with a wealth of experience in media and passion to help women in business thrive, I'd love to welcome Jules, who I also call the Connection Queen, to the Wisdom Podcast. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
That was a bit of an intro, wasn't it?
It was. I'm thinking, did I write that or did you write it? Because it was very nice. I'll have that. Thank you.
No worries. I'll share that with you. Well, you've just been out there. I'm excited, one, for you to come onto my podcast because obviously, yes, I am a member of She's the Boss, but I've just seen how amazing you are out there, and you're the Connection Queen. And I'd love to know and have you share with our audience just, how you got started with your journey in connecting people and making women more visible in business.
Okay, well, the connecting people is just a thing I do. It's not anything I've formalized ever. It's just that I have that kind of a brain where I meet people and they tell me what they do and what they need. And then I meet somebody else who says, I'm looking to meet someone doing something similar. And I go, you two have to talk. So that's totally informal.
Yeah.
My story is really interesting, and Handle Your Own PR started 12 years before She is the Boss. So when I'm saying I do both, one is kind of less of a passion now and more of a thing. But anyway, let me start at the beginning. I started Handle Your Own PR after the GFC, which hit in about 2008.
Yep.
The reason for it was I had taught myself how to do PR. I kind of fell into it by mistake. I picked up a client before I actually had an agency, but that's a whole other story. So I picked up this client. They wanted me to do PR. I didn't know how to do it. I tried to get other people to do it for me. And I said, we'll split the fee. You can do the work and I'll do the client side. And they all said, no, we're too busy. Give it a go. So I was working with Mark Mitchell, Con the Fruiterer at the time, and they'd just brought out a new DVD. And so it was a very lucky one to do as your first job ever, because I ended up ringing a whole lot of producers for TV shows and radio because Mark had said to me, ring Bert Newton, ring Alan Jones, they'll have me on. And I thought, I don't even know how this works. So I just rang the TV station and I said, can I speak to someone on the Bert Newton show? And this guy came on and I said, I've got Mark Mitchell. He'd love to do an interview. And he went, great. And then he said, who are you? And I said, what do you mean? Does everybody do you know all the PRs? And he said, yeah, we do. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing. Anyway, he gave me the gig. I ended up getting 6 or 7 interviews for Mark Mitchell. I went back to the DVD company to say, I've got all this publicity for you. And they said, that's amazing. Here's another 5 DVDs. And it literally kind of grew like that. Yeah. And then sadly, my dad got very sick. He got a brain tumor and I needed to go down to the Mornington Peninsula to spend time with him each week. And so I put another call out amongst all my friends and said, does anyone know how to do PR and is anyone free to come and help me? And my beautiful friend Simone Hayden said, I've done PR and I'll come and help you.
Oh,
and that was the start of and I think we were together for about 7 or 8 years. We worked together.
Wow.
I started an agency called Handle Communications, and we focused on entrepreneurs and startups, particularly mums, because that whole mumpreneur thing was happening at the beginning of the 2000s. That kind of look, it's had 5 websites. It started being. I'll tell you where it was in the beginning was that I thought if people are paying $3,000 a month for PR, why don't we sell them media contact lists for $3,000 a month or $2,000 a month? $2,000, sorry, not per month. It was going to be a flat out, we'll give it to you. Yeah. And we had crickets. There's the first website mistake I had. Went out and everybody had been telling us, oh my God, we need this, not one sale. And I thought, what have we done wrong? Yes. So then we went back into our list, which might have been 300 names. And I said, why don't we break them down into much smaller groups? So then we sold media lists for everything from $50 to $250. Right. And we did that for a while. And then in 2012-ish, I left the agency. In fact, I said to my business partner, you have the agency, I'll handle your own PR. And she said, you are making the worst mistake. And I said, I don't think so. I really want to teach people. Yeah. And I then sold my house and did the crazy thing that no entrepreneur should do, but plenty do, and backed myself and built the SaaS platform. And from there, look, the way that it works is that I've put all my media contacts in there so people can go on, build their own media contact list, put their media release in, drop your photo in here, your logo, and it formats it all for you. And then you choose what journalists you want to send it out to, and you send it out to them with an email, and then you can do a follow-up stage. So it's very intuitive. What I realized is that people don't know how to write for the media. They know how to write for an ad. They don't know how to write and turn it into a story. Yeah. So then I started coaching people. Then I started an online course, which is sort of 6 one-hour video lessons. I know you're supposed to do them 10-minute lessons, but I didn't.
Yeah, we've learned.
I didn't get that memo. And having listened to Sam Winch recently, who's a bit of a course guru, and she said, from my 6 modules, I really should have 6 lessons. I should have about 6 modules in each. So one day it will be like that. But at the moment it's 6 video lessons. And then they get the use of the PR engine. And I went to Bali, spilled my guts in a book once about an ebook about how do you do PR with loads of examples. So I give that away. And then I do weekly mentoring where people can ask me questions. So that sort of was Handle Your Own PR. Yeah. And it was all trundling along. And of course the lockdowns came and the pandemic came. Mm-hmm. And at the time I thought, well, we'll just transition it all online. So we went from doing in-person events with journalists to running it online. Yeah. And that happened, I think I brought it online in 12 hours because I was supposed to be running an event on Monday, and on Saturday it looked like we were going to possibly not be able to get flights or whatever. Yeah. So I just moved it all online on the Sunday. So, and that's great. It's been wonderful. It's helped hundreds of people get publicity. Yeah. And I love it to death. But then at the end of 2019, I got an opportunity to have a TV show, and I have always wanted to be on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Not a shy, retiring little violet me. So I saw this post from a guy on LinkedIn that I didn't know the guy at all, but it just said, I'm looking for people to interview around technology and innovation. And I went, me. Yeah. And I went in and saw the guy, and ostensibly really to have a chat with him about, could we talk about Handle Your Own PR and blah, blah, blah. And he just stuck a microphone on me as I walked in the door, sat me down in front of the camera and went, right, we're going to interview you. We're going to interview you now. So I did a 20-minute interview with him about Handle Your Own PR. And at the end, he said, that was so much fun. Let's do a 1-minute elevator pitch one. So we did another 1-minute one. And then after that, he said to me, I've been looking for someone to co-host the lunchtime show with me, and you'd be loads of fun. Would you like to do it? And I said, yes. So that's where it all started. I started off co-hosting a news and business show, which I will just tell your readers, I haven't said to anyone else, but I remember Aaron Young, who owns the Ticker TV is what it became, saying to me, you can't say you'd never heard of that. There was some guy talking about the stock exchange. And I was like, I'd been saying to him, I have to be the dumbed down partner because I have no idea about most of this stuff. And I said something on air and he went, you can't say that.
Can't say that.
in the same breath, he was wanting to get more hosts on the channel. So I said to him, well, why don't you I know loads of people who are on the speaker circuit and they've got a big following. So why don't you get them on as hosts? And he said, that would be great. And I said, but if I do that, I want my own show and it's got to be about women in business. So that's where She's the Boss started. Wow. I went into that Facebook group, Like-Minded Bitches Drinking Wine, to say, what should I call it? And some fabulous woman in there said, I think you should call it She's the Boss, which I did. And then when I had my first show, I went to put it back into Like-Minded Bitches and they turned it down as promotional material. So there you go. We've all had those Facebook experiences. Yes. Anyway, so I started this show and I started bringing on female founders to talk about their entrepreneurial journey, like how they'd got from basically finishing school to where they are now. And I loved it and I learned so much from it. And one of the things that I really started to delve into was the lack of support for female founders. I had no idea that only 2% of VC funding was going to women founded businesses. I had no idea that women had these massive barriers to entry when it comes to business, even though 2 out of 3 businesses these days are being set up by women, not men. Yeah. And then I started hearing that 4% of women over 50 feature in less than 4% of media globally. That was another one, and I'm over 50. So that shocked me. And I just kept on getting all these hits about all this stuff around women and unconscious bias. And so, again, with the lockdown, I decided that I just signed up to Zoom and I thought I'll start running online lunches for women in business, women who've got their own businesses, just to support, because lots of people were spiraling and going, my life is over. So I started doing that. It turned into online lunches every Friday for the next 2.5 years. Yeah. So it ended up, I've only just got every second Friday back because I do it fortnightly now. And then from there, I started a podcast, which I called She's the Boss Chats, interviewed a whole lot of women. Then I started a YouTube channel when I finished with Ticker TV, and my son produces it. We've got 35 interviews with absolutely mind-blowing female founders. And then from there, I thought, well, I might as well start a membership group. So it was very organic and very so let me tell you, handle your own PR has been a struggle from the day I started. First, I had to educate people about what PR was. Then there's a whole lot of shysters out there. So there's a whole lot of people who are like, I don't know whether I can trust this. So many people have been burnt by PR. You can't guarantee it. So it has been a struggle for 13 years now as I keep pushing it out there. She's the Boss. It was like I was channeling it from above. It's been so easy. And so I'm so sure that it's meant to be. I mean, handle your own PR is a service that everybody needs, so I can't let go of it. But She's the Boss is absolutely where I'm heading now for the next, 5 or 10 years, I think.
It's just that, based on the journey, there's an evolution there, right? We all go through this evolution. But the fact that you actually created the tool and then you've got this service that goes along with the tool, it's just really coming along to the purpose of, you have your message, you and I are working together at the moment to create my message for my platform, but it's creating that message and marrying it with your other works and just, it's educating people, isn't it, to really understand PR isn't as scary as a lot of people think it may be. No. And if we were to talk about online courses, which I know we want to talk about, I have to share this little hint that, so I didn't really know very much about online courses, and I started doing them back in, I want to say, 2013 or something. So there weren't lots. Everyone was doing webinars and things. Yeah. And this woman, Karina Ho, I have so much gratitude for her, came along and said, we should do a webinar. And I was kind of literally going, what are they? Anyway, what she said to me and what I now say to everybody else is, she said, do it live. So what I did was we promoted the fact that we were going to do a 6-week PR course, 1 hour a week on a Monday night. We did it live. So basically she said to me, you don't have to write 6 lessons at once. Yeah. You know that you've got every Monday night, you've got a deadline. So just write a lesson a week, which was hugely freeing for me and for anybody that's listening that gets overwhelmed by the thought of doing a course. Exactly. We can all write 1 lesson a week. Then what we did was we did it live.
got lots of feedback from people about, can you make that picture bigger? Could you just explain that a little bit more? What do you mean by that? Can you tell us a story? So I got lots of feedback.
Yeah.
Then I used the same slides and did it again, more refining. Then I did it a third time, and then I recorded it.
Yeah.
And on the back of that, I knew exactly what people needed and what stages they were at, when they got stuck, what sort of homework to give them. It was a really great experience to do it live. Only have to think ahead by one class. I mean, I did a very rough outline at the beginning, but I just wrote it each week. And then to record it after you've done that, I just thought that was very clever.
Yeah. And, like you just mentioned there, like just going with the small steps, just little steps as you go. And like a lot of conversations I have is just about consistency and just taking that first step. Don't be afraid. And just that, as you were saying, just going out there and doing those live webinars to create your course.
That's right.
You just have to take that step, don't you? And you just listen to the response you get, the feedback you get. And it's actually not too hard to do.
No, it isn't.
It's funny how, you were saying, with the particular process that you went through of, engaging with other people, asking for help and so forth. That's another lesson there too for our audience. If anyone's looking to start anything, to put your hand up. Don't be afraid to ask for help or join a network or whatever, because we're not competing against each other. I think that's one thing a lot of people get clouded by or scared by. They think, but I'm in competition. You're not. We've all got something unique to offer.
No. And let me tell you, I'll give you a really good example of that. So I'm a huge believer in collaborating rather than competing.
Oh, yeah.
And I started in a space that was completely empty. Nobody was doing DIY PR at all. There was one lovely woman over, Sue Papadoulis over in Perth. I'd been doing it on the stage for about a year or two by then. I think she was an ex-journalist, but I had never heard of anyone else doing it. And then over the years, I've seen more and more people start to do it. And I always reach out to them and say, thank you. And this is brilliant. Can I help you? Yeah. And some of them are shocked. But the reason for that is if somebody copies you, you're growing a sector that didn't exist before. That was the first thing. Secondly, I was like, wow, I can give myself a pat on the back. If they're copying me, it means that they think there's a market there too.
Yeah.
And thirdly, there may be ways that you can collaborate. And a really good example was about 3 or 4 years ago, a journalist, in fact, a few journalists rang me because they knew me from running my courses and said, Jules, there's another woman and she's set up a business with your name. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, they've called it HYOPR. And I said, really? So I went and searched it, found this lovely woman in Queensland, rang her, and I said, don't freak out. I'm not angry in any way, but I'm just letting you know you're using the same acronym as me, and I've been around for about 10 years, so you're probably sending people to me rather than to yourself. And if there's any way I can support you, let me. And she said, I've got a podcast, let's do a podcast interview about how you should do a bit of research for your acronyms before you go out into the world. And we just did this really fun one. And, I am always supportive of anyone who's in this space because we want everyone to do it. And the more people jump into it, the more people give it a go, the more people will do it. And of course, if I was to go to that top level, PR is free. It is free marketing. Once you learn how to do it, you don't pay journalists to do the story for you. So
I just think, you're being in media, like having an understanding and knowing people and so forth. And then you got people like me who are just like happy to just be background behind.
No, not allowed to be.
Not allowed to be, are we? So I would like to know, how did you go about, or what would be your number one tip or, offer to anyone who should just go out there? How would you inspire women to make their own connection, and be more visible in the media?
Okay.
What's the number one thing you would say?
I've come up with what I think is an absolutely brilliant reason for you to push yourself forward.
Yeah.
And that is, most of us in our businesses want to affect some change or want to be able to help people. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to be able to do that, then we need to have some power and influence, because that it is the powerful, influential people that get all the followers.
Yeah.
So in order to make yourself influential and to give yourself some power, what do you need to do? You have to push yourself forward. Mm-hmm. You have to make yourself visible. Otherwise, people don't know what you do or what your business is. Yes. So I kind of say, particularly to women, get over yourself. It's not about you, all those kind of things. And I go, if you think about how you're helping other people and you think that by making yourself visible, there are other young women who will be able to see what you're doing and maybe follow in your footsteps. I think that's kind of, to me anyway, that's enough. And a lot of the people in She's the Boss are trying to disrupt industries, and you're a great example. So if you're going to do that, you can't be a quiet little church mouse in the background, because you won't be able to make that change happen. You've got to push yourself forward. You've got to let people. So not only is it building awareness for your brand, but you should build yourself alongside your brand. And the reason for that, my brother, who's in advertising and marketing, said it so brilliantly to me. He said, because I was like, I don't know whether I want to build my name. I just want to build my business's name. And you hear that a lot.
Yes.
And he said, if you build both two things, you have the double whammy of people will come to your business through two angles. But if you decide to sell your business or do something different, you're not going to go back to square one and have to build it up again. You know, now I've people know Jules Brooke from Handle Your Own PR. I've moved over to She's the Boss, but I didn't have to go down to nobody knows me at all.
Yeah.
It was easier for me to say, now I'm pivoting, now I'm all about women, and it's just easier. And of course, to attract investors, they invest in people really, rather than, so there's a whole lot of reasons why you want to push yourself forward.
Yeah. Is there any lesson that you learnt, like you said, you know, obviously when you're creating your own SaaS platform and everything like that and going through your evolution, was there any major lesson that you learnt about maybe yourself that you'd like to pass on to someone else who is thinking of evolving their business, what they might need to look out for or reach out for?
Look, there are two things that I love. I am not a lone wolf. I know I'm not a lone wolf. So I very fast look for a partner. But I have learned my lesson there. So they do not come in and I give them 50% equity and sign a document. They come in and I work with them now for a year before I'll sign anything. Yep. You can dangle equity, but I would dangle the equity over time because experience has told me that we all get excited at the beginning, but maybe a year down the track, you're going to find people are peeling off and you're going to keep going. And I've kept going on the Handle Your Own PR journey for 13 years, I guess it is now. And I've probably been through 3 or 4 business partners in that time, people who put in a whole lot of time and effort, but maybe the money hasn't come or they think it's too much work and they drop out, but I've got to keep going. So that's one little trick I've learned. The other one is that I know that, and look, there is a book that someone sent me last year. She's a very creative, very successful woman. She's ideas everywhere, and that is me. I'm not a very structured person. And she sent me this book called Rocket Fuel, and it's a guy called Mark Wickens and someone or other. Anyway, it talks about visionaries and integrators. And I guess what it's saying is that some people are very good at ideas and inspiring people and being a bit of a leader and disrupting industries and thinking outside of the box, and that's me. But I am not great at managing people. Yep. Because even though I can bring them into the fold, the day-to-day management, I get really bored with it and I'm just shit at it. Excuse my French for anyone that's listening. So the management of people, the profit and loss and the bottom line does not excite me in any way, shape or form. I want to write. I want to connect with people. I want to do the big deals. I want to then hand it over to someone to do the minutiae. Yes. And I think that that's a good thing. Whether you employ that person or partner with them, whatever you do, you're going to need that balance. And that was another really big learning because I thought that if you come up with the business, then you should run it.
That is
it's just not the truth, is it?
But it's such a good, because it was.
I mean, you have to at first, but
it was leading me to the next question, which was like, why did you, or when did you decide to bring on, amazing strategy boss that you got there with you, Antonia Grimmart, because she's amazing, but you've answered it.
But what I did in a very unstructured way, typical of me, I'm hosting online lunches all the time, and I started going, right, I'm just putting it out to the universe and to all of you women that I need somebody to come on board with me and help me. And the first one was Mia Mays, and then Antonia saw me speak at my first Sydney She's the Boss lunch and said, I want to work with that woman. And she just said to me, can I have a role? And I said, sure. But I had no idea what that role would be. And slowly but surely, we've kind of found our groove.
Yeah. I love that answer because Well, just the explanation on, reaching out for partnerships or understanding your weaknesses as well as your strengths. Because a lot of us, we're all, wearing multiple hats when we're starting these businesses.
Absolutely we are. And you have to do all the bits that you hate and all that sort of thing. But in the end, I know that I'm much better off with somebody that's got a more structured kind of way of thinking. Yeah. And what's interesting, though, on the flip side, now that I'm mentoring business owners, is I kind of start off going, I'm really apologetic, as I probably was to you, but I'm like, I'm not structured. I'm very creative. I'm going to connect you with lots of people. I'll help you think of things, but I'm not going to be able to look at your bottom line and tell you, whatever. Yeah. And I thought that would make me very unpopular, but actually there are so many people that have that left brain completely nailed. They know their bottom line. They've got no creativity. They can't think outside of the square, or they can't. And that's, I think, one of the things that happened with the pandemic. Yes. Was that a lot of those people who like structure and rhythm and habit suddenly were thrown out, the baby with the bathwater, and they didn't know what to do. And so the world going forward, I think hopefully we all realise now that combination is the magic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would lead me to my next question, which is, what legacy are you looking to leave, personal or business?
Look, my personal legacy now, so what I wanted was all small business owners to understand that they could, market themselves for free. Yeah. Now it's much more profound with me, and that is that I just want to see women on an equal footing to men when it comes to being in business. Yeah. So my legacy, well, one of the things that I have been banging on about for the last 3 years that I am absolutely going to do is to start a TV network for women in business, where I will coach 150 different women who are normal looking and all different shapes and sizes and abilities to host TV shows, so that there will be role models for younger women of all types. Having said that, that is a massive, massive job. So I've come up with something slightly smaller in the meantime, Miss Procrastination, of running a massive conference that you will hopefully hear about next year. So
well, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable journey. But it is believable knowing you who you are as well.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, I'm so amazed by what you're doing, Nikki. I mean, your story is incredible, and I can't wait to interview you for my podcast.
And this is what we do, isn't it? When you're women in business, you collaborate, you work together, you uplift each other. That's just one of the things that I think I love about being in this world of networking with women, and just recognizing that it's not competition, guys. There
are stacks of customers for all of us, stacks and stacks. Exactly. And even people that are doing exactly the same thing, like I was talking about with Handle Your Own PR and Hack Your Own PR, which is the other woman, is it doesn't matter. I mean, there are people who might like her style much better than mine. Exactly. So even if you're doing exactly the same thing, you'll be a different person to the other person. We've all got our tribe. We've all got people that like us, and we've all got people that don't like our style. Exactly. And that's fine. There's room for all of us.
Exactly. Well, you've been amazing to chat to today, Jules, as always. And I know you've got amazing events happening left, right and centre, but what's one of the events that you'd like to just share with our audience today that's coming up?
When is this going to come out? Will it be out before Christmas? In which case I'd love them all to come to the She's the Boss Christmas party in Melbourne. So go and have a look at anything to do with She's the Boss. It's she'sthebossgroup.com. Yep. On there, we have an events page, and you'll see we still host loads of online events. If you're out in a rural area or can't get out and about easily, then please come and join us for the online lunches, because they're always amazing.
Oh, they are.
And we have PR Boot Camp, which is an online course that you can do at your leisure. It's a 3-month program, but you can do it whatever 3 months you want, and as fast and as slow as you want. And it includes the use of my PR engine, which I talked about earlier. You get 6 video lessons, which I also talked about earlier. In fact, here's a course structure for anyone who's listening. You get a Q&A Zoom with me once a week to ask me any questions about your PR. You get an ebook, and you get the closed Facebook group. There you go. That is a course for anyone who wants to listen.
There you go. The whole package.
Yes.
Well, like I said, Jules, you've been amazing to chat to today, and thank you so much for your time. And all the details of Jules' events and the boot camp and everything like that will be in our podcast summary below. Be sure to click on the link, and don't forget to subscribe. And again, thank you so much for your time, Jules, today.
My pleasure. You are amazing, Nikki. I just can't wait to see what you do with Wisdom.
Oh, thank you, gorgeous. Thanks for listening to the Wise Dome podcast. If you enjoyed and have been inspired by this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, do subscribe and please share it with others. Post about us on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, Nikki Kelly, you can follow me on Instagram at Wise Dome Podcast, WISEDOME Podcast. I'm Nikki Kelly. Thanks again, and we'll catch up next time.